year, I think when you're right out of college, you did 20 million in your first year or something like that. What do you think? How do you? What did you do?
I just got lucky. I got to have a great product to sell at the Ford Plantation, and the market was so good, and we had just released the best part of that property. And I was just kind of there, and when somebody would come in, I'd get them in the car, and hopefully they wouldn't get bit by a mosquito in the next 2 hours before I could get them to sign a contract. So it was just a good market. I was at the right place at the right time. But I got in front of a lot of different people, which was really good early on. Good practice. No question.
How did you handle the trauma, the tragedy that happened with burning the house? I mean, that's a major setback.
Yeah. Look, when we at that time, life was just really rolling from a business standpoint and a standpoint we're about to have a baby. It was just a really awesome time in life, and we had just spent a couple years building this really nice house on the river, and we had everything that we owned in it, and literally we lost absolutely everything except for what we had on that day. And it was tough, but at the end of the day, what are you going to do, right? So I kind of said, man, that's a diversion of where we want to go, but you got to figure it out and move on. And that moved us to Atlanta. And then I don't know what would have been doing if we were still down there. So you got to think that any diversions or setbacks you have in your life, they're there for a reason, and you just got to figure it out and divert and start something else, because that path will maybe wind you to a better place, like it did for me.
Did that change your viewpoint on material possessions at all, and if so, how?
Yeah, it did for about a year. It's a good question, though.
You talk about these different stages that you went through. Did you have a big mentor in each stage or throughout your whole process?
My dad's always been a mentor to me, and he's helped me throughout that, even though he shipped me off to boarding school in 7th grade. But that was a good thing he did, because I had to grow up, with all these people from all these different walks of life when you're at boarding school. And look, I weighed 75 pounds in 7th grade. I'm still a little. I mean, I'm getting bigger, but I was a little dude in 7th grade, and you had to navigate your way in Connecticut. I mean, but that was a really wonderful thing for me to go and have to do that, and again, learn those communication skills to not get beat up every day at boarding school.
Can you explain to us a little bit about if you took on any outside investment along the way and where those key points were?
Just about, I've been able to kind of keep the, even though I did lose a ton of money in 2008, I've been able to kind of self-fund a lot of my projects, which has been good. I did get some loans from banks when we were building the houses down at Palmetto Bluff.
You didn't take on investment?
No, I haven't. But I've invested. When I'm out driving with somebody in a car all day looking at houses, and they're looking at $2 and $3 and $4 million houses, I've always just been really, inquisitive on, hey man, how'd you do it? What's your job? You're looking at this $4 million house, you must be doing something right. And about 15 different times, I've been able to invest in that guy's company. And that's been a really, really good way for me to diversify with all the different businesses that I'm now a part of, which has been great.
What do you do differently than the other firms that were specializing in the high-end real estate? What was significantly different in your firm than other firms?
We like to say we outwork people. We answer our phones right away, but we also use technology, right? If you're not using the latest and greatest technology in your business, you're just way behind. And with what we do with our marketing and how we kind of reverse prospect and how do we use search engine optimization to get our listings out in front of everybody else's is a key pivotal point of how we're able to be where we are in today's market.
So the technology hasn't always been there. So what did your day-to-day activity look like when you first started? I know you had to work extremely hard to get to where you were.
Well, you've been an agent for a couple years now, and I think from a standpoint of what I do day in and day out, when I go to dinner with my wife, we don't go sit at a table, we sit at the bar. Why? Because I can meet people on the left and right of me. I'm not afraid about sitting in the valet station, waiting for my car, and some guy pulls in a nice Mercedes or a Porsche. I'm gonna go, hey man, I love that car. How about a card? So I'm not shy to go and ask for the business and get in front of folks, and You got to do that if you're a real estate agent. You got to, again, I use the word get uncomfortable. You know, if you're not uncomfortable, you're not going to do anything. You're just going to be kind of a stagnant average person. So getting uncomfortable is just the biggest thing that you can do. And I'm not afraid of somebody, you know, telling me to get out of here or whatever, but that's what you got to do.
So I know you talk about what makes you unique. Do you think that changed, or you had to kind of reevaluate what made you unique as you went through the process?
Yeah, you know, when we did the big development and it failed, I kind of had to start thinking, you know, all right, I'm sitting here and now I got a kid, about to have another kid. What am I going to do for the rest of my life? You know, what? And then I got to say, what am I good at? When you marry, and I mentioned this in my talk, when you marry what you're good at with something that you like to do, your passion, that's putting yourself in a position to succeed. And I kind of started thinking, all right, so what's that? Well, that's being around people. That's selling a product. And luckily I had a good product, even though it failed in 2008 to sell. And I think that's an important way to do it.
Yes, you went through college with a very industrious spirit and sort of just grinding through. What gems of wisdom can you share with a lot of us with kids in college, or kids that are coming through? And what did you learn, and how are you teaching your kids, and what would you want to share with us around
That's
making it work?
great. So I didn't really learn anything in high school or college other than how to make money. And that doesn't really sound right, but I didn't learn Shakespeare. I didn't learn biology, chemistry. I don't know any of that in my brain. And it's just a fact, because during those classes, I just check out. And that's why I was a terrible student. But when I get something that I like, I mean, I'm just hyper-focused on it, you know? So don't get too wrapped up if your kid's not making A's. It doesn't mean he's not going to be successful. All the schools that I've been, asked to maybe go to another school, they're all asking for donations now. But that's just because that's just because you just want to don't get wrapped up in grades. You want to have an overall experience. You want your kids to be nice to other kids. You want them to be able to talk to you when you get home and tell you about your day. Did you have a good day? Little Bo? Yeah, Dad, I had a great day. What'd you do at the playground? What'd you do this? Was everybody nice to you today? Well, I had a disagreement. Well, tell me about it. That's the kind of stuff you get. They're life skills. And in school, when I didn't learn all the stuff that other people are able to recite, I learned great life skills. And maybe because school was so hard for me, I was able to succeed after school. And like when I started the business, the t-shirt company my freshman year, that was probably because I needed to be successful in something, right? And it wasn't going to be school, so I'm going to go sell some t-shirts and make some money, right? And maybe that was a way to get a date. So that's one way we did it.
You mentioned, everything happened for a reason, and it brings you to this point. If there was one thing you would change through your life, what would it be?
I just don't have any regrets. I mean, I'm at the end of the day, I'm glad my house burned. I'm glad that the development I did failed. I mean, you can't have any regrets. You got to kind of take the regrets and figure out what you're learning from them, and then figure out how to be stronger on the other end.
You're a big proponent of technology, and I agree with you. So with virtual reality really in its infancy stage, do you see that taking over the real estate process and taking the agent out of the picture?
Not at all. I see it's going to be a cool way to show property, right? But you still need that white glove treatment to actually walk through a house, feel it, smell it, understand where your kids are going to live, and you're always going to need real estate agents. That's just a fact. And I know there's companies and there's discount brokers. There's always a person that hires those, and that's fine. They're just not my clients. When I go to the doctor, I go to MD VIP. That's the most expensive doctor you can have, so I want the best service possible, and I think that's the same with real estate agents, and we definitely earn our money, for sure.
So when times are good, how do you think about the future?
I don't think about money or anything like that. I just think about right now how, I can better my agents we've got in Ansley, Atlanta, how I can mentor them, how I can teach them some tricks that I've used to get where we are today, and also want to figure out how we can be better with our company by giving back, and that's why we've had this great partnership with Showa, which has been really, really great.
What are some of your best sales development
Well, it's a great question. So, guys, when I met Mo Bonneau, Mo was in the start of his career, and this was maybe 3 houses ago where Mo was today. And so I'm going to call it 6 years ago. And I sit down with Mo. I didn't know him, and I go through my sales pitch. He was interviewing a bunch of different agents, and I go through my deal. He says, well, Bonneau, what's my house worth? And I'm just using a number. I said, Mo, your house is worth $600,000. He goes, oh, okay. Well, why do you say that? I go, well, because I know, dude. I'm the #1 agent in town. I've sold this house, this house, this house. Your house is worth $600,000. You know, it's just the way it is. You know, and very cocky, right? Very kind of like. And so I've never had any kind of buddy question me on really. Well, how do you know that? So I get a call from this guy Mo the next day. And he says, Bonneau, hey, I was thinking I was going to, all right, I'll go put my sign in the yard. All right, let's go have some lunch. I want to go talk about your listing presentation. I'm like, okay, all right, well, let's see what this is all about. So I go and we have lunch, and he sits down and he goes, hey, man, I really like you. You know, you were impressive. I like your energy and everything else, but I got to tell you, man, I got 4 quadrants of my brain. So who's taking most classes? So I'm sitting there going, all right, this is getting weird, 4 quadrants of brain. And now y'all know me pretty good, right? I'm ADD, I'm a weird, I can't, I'm like, oh guys, this is a science lesson, I'm out of here. You can take the, so he's like, I got 4 quadrants of brain. Then he pulls out this sheet and he goes, look, man, I'm analytical, and there's all these numbers. You got these you've done the course, right? So he's going, man, I'm analytical, and you had me on this quadrant and this quadrant, but you totally lost me over here on the top left quadrant. And he goes, look, I'm analytical. You've got to show me why my house is worth $600,000. Man, that light bulb went totally off in my head. I said, you're exactly right. I have no analytical side of my listing presentation. So we shook hands, he hired me, I sold his house, and we've been in 3 or 4 other houses. But the big deal about that is from a salesman's standpoint, you've got to know who your audience is. And I learned that 6 years ago, and it's made me a much better salesperson. So when I now go to a listing presentation, I don't do it because I'm not analytical, but I have somebody in my office. Remember, you got to backfill the weaknesses. I've got somebody in my office put together this packet that's got all the comps and all the spreadsheets and all this stuff that shows why your house is worth $600,000. So I've got to thank Mo for that on the front end, helping me just dial in how to sell, and he's unbelievable. So let's give Mo a hand. He's phenomenal. Yeah, that's a good question. It's my family first, obviously, right? But I wish and I need to do a better job getting some Bonneau time. Like over the last year, I've got 0 Bonneau time, and I know that's a big weakness. And I am going to forward think about how I can, have some time for myself, be it a walk or a jog or something. You can see I need it, but that's something that I'm going to start to do. But I do have a routine. I'm big into goals. Every month I put together a goal sheet and I attach it into my daily planner. I write in my daily planner every single day. I look at my goals every single day, and I have daily goals in the morning, which I hit. So goal setting, if you're not goal setting, you got to goal set enough, and in those goals, do stuff that makes you uncomfortable is another big point.
So obviously you have skill and a passion for sales. As you grow a business, that shifts and your ability to sell directly diminishes. How much of your time today do you spend managing your business versus managing what you love to do?
That's the big thing. So I love to sell, and I love being able to have a business, but I like having my business so I'm able to mentor other agents, and that's one reason why we've had so much success. I mean, we've gone from 9 people to well over 100 in less than 2 years, and we've got another bunch of agents coming in over the next 6 months. So I'm able to, one of my gifts is I'm able to really be able to pick good talent, and I've been able to hire the best of the best, and my business titles are totally different. I've got a chief motivating officer. That guy is our managing broker, but he's also there to be a life coach, and he's actually a certified life coach. So he handles all of our agents and gives them goals, priorities, and he's also really good with contracts. The next big hire I've got is a chief people officer. What's that? Well, it's somebody that makes sure the culture in our office is always upbeat and energy. We've got no whining. And she kind of deals as a psychiatrist / great marketing person. And you really need that in your office. So we've got this incredible culture in the office where I've hired really, really good people where I can do what I do best, and that's sell and mentor and kind of help grow the company that way. So at this stage of my climb, right, if you kind of reference my speech, I'm at the most fun part of it, right? Because we're doing different stuff on the real estate side. The market's really, really good in Atlanta. Atlanta, guys, I mean, who likes living in Atlanta? I mean, our cost of living is, there's our chief motivating officer right there, Chris Atlanta, guys, is an unbelievable place, and we're so fortunate to be there. The cost of living is low. Companies are moving here, and it's just a great market to see how I got ADD. I shifted over that. Yeah, good. Who else?
What keeps you up at night, and what do you do about it?
Jeez. Well, I don't have to sleep much, so I need about 5 hours of sleep, which is good because my mind just is weird. There's always something going on. A lot of stuff keep me up at night. But all good stuff, but about once a month I just crash. I go to bed like at 6 in the evening, I wake up at like 8 the next day. But for the most part, I'm just rambling and just writing stuff. What I found at night when stuff keeps me up is just write it down and then deal with it the next day.
What have you learned lately?
That's a good question. I'll tell you what I've learned, and this is kind of a weird thing to say. We're doing so much and you think you're doing a lot. There's still people that don't want you to succeed, and that's a weird thing. You know, when you grow your company so well and you think you're trying to do everything right, there's other companies out there or people out there that might not, want you to succeed, and that's been kind of weird because I want everybody to succeed. But that's one thing that I've found that's been a little disheartening.
What specific portion of your sales cycle did technology supplement or aid?
I think that we use technology to do a few things. One is to just broaden our net for promoting our specific listings. Two is communication with our clients, right? To tell them how many views they've got on their specific house. And three is just using all the latest and greatest, ways to use social media. I mean, we're on the cutting edge. Like all of our agents can feed their Facebook page with all their exclusive listings. That's pretty cool. And that keeps people on their mini website, which is their Facebook page. So there's a lot of different technology ways that we use that. Yeah. Lead gen's huge. But you got to do it right. You got to be able to follow up with the leads that you get. Because if you get all these leads and you don't have a system or technology to follow up with them every day, every other day, every week, then it's pointless.
Good?
Yeah.
Should we wind it down? David?
One more question?
Yeah.
Yeah, real quick. What do you read, and what have you read that really made an impact on you?
That's a great question. I hadn't read a book since high school. So I'm dead serious. I'm being dyslexic. Is anybody here dyslexic? You are? So I can't read. I mean, like literally, I can read. I mean, of course I can read, but reading a book just doesn't work for me. And ADD, I start reading a page and I start thinking about, it's done. It's done. So sometimes I put on these big headphones and I go walk and I listen and I read, good motivational books and things like that. Well, I don't read them, I listen to them. And that's what I've done. The only book I've read actually is Herschel Walker's biography. And that was a good book, man. He was the best. All right, Mo.
I love it.